everyone, I'm Julian Gau, Artistic Director of the Horizon Ensemble, and I'm here with composer Ruth Hertzman-Miller. How are you doing today?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good, enjoying this Sunday weather. It's a little rainy today, but still enjoying the spring. So Ruth here is one of the composers featured on Horizon Ensemble's Bridges this Sunday, May 31st, our 5th anniversary celebration show. We're really excited to have her, and I hope you're pumped too.
I am extremely excited for this. Yeah.
We'll be playing her piece, The Activity of Sound, which is a sort of exploration of sound on the Harvard Bridge. But first, I'd love to hear more about Ruth and more about your story as a composer, which I think is very cool.
Absolutely. So, I grew up loving music, hearing a lot of music. Started piano lessons at age 3 because my parents didn't know what else to do with me.
Me too. 3-year-old pianos. Good job.
And then I actually was in, when I was about 10, my piano teacher started an opera company, and so I played Gherardino in the Puccini opera Johnny Schicchi, which was also super fun. Yeah.
At 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's got one line, which... Anyhow, but that was really fun. So, so grew up hearing a lot of music, playing a lot of music, really enjoyed chamber music, really enjoyed orchestra concerts, and then went to college and was like, maybe I should major in biology and become a physician.
Oh.
So I did a lot of music in college, but it was all secondary to my major, which was biology. Went on to medical school, went on to a residency in internal medicine, did a fellowship in general internal medicine practice for about 20 years, and always kind of kept my hand in playing music and a little bit in composing music. And then I started performing with my kids in the North Cambridge Family Opera, so shout out to NCFO, and listened to some of the music that we were singing, and I thought, I bet I could write something like that. So I started writing, at the time they used to do not only an yearly opera, but one yearly chorus for the Cambridge Science Festival, in which they did songs about some area of science. So they would pick an area, let's say radiation and waves, and have a number of different composers write songs about that. Yeah, so I've now written 5 science songs for the North Cambridge Family Opera Science Festival chorus.
That's super cool.
And having done that, I decided maybe I should go back to school and get a more formal degree in this. So I did a certificate in professional studies at the New England Conservatory, and then I applied to Boston Conservatory, and I now have a master's in composition from
BOCO.
Yeah.
Woo. This is where Ruth and I met.
Indeed.
And now you're writing cool music and doing cool stuff around Boston.
I am, yeah.
In fact, in Providence, with the Providence Medical Orchestra, we just premiered Ruth's piece,
The Things
Between Us. I was going to say Living Words. Living Words is the name of a project of poetry by Alzheimer's patients, some of which Ruth set to music in this piece, The Things Between Us. So we just premiered that a few weeks ago in Providence, and it was super cool.
Yeah, and I will say that's very dear to my heart, because for the last 10 years or so, I've been working in geriatrics with a lot of patients with dementia.
Well, coming up, we have Ruth's piece, The Activity of Sound, on the Horizon concert this Sunday the 31st. Can you tell us about the story of this piece?
Absolutely. So I had the opportunity when I was doing my master's at BOCO to write a piece for orchestra. And I have a real fondness, sort of a strange fondness, I guess, for car sounds. I think it's because I associate it with these long trips that my family and I used to take. So I grew up in Washington, D.C. My grandparents lived, my mother's parents, in a small town named New Britain, which is in an old industrial town near Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay, yeah.
And several times a year we would go to visit my grandparents, which was, kind of a 6.5-hour drive plus lots of stops because my brother and I were little kids.
Sure, yeah.
So there was something about being in the car, with my parents and my brother, the 3 people I loved the most, and being on the way to my grandparents and my great aunts and uncles, whom I also adored, that was just really comforting. And sometimes I felt like this trip could just go on forever, and that would be okay with me. So I think I got a fondness for, kind of car and highway sounds from that experience of associating it with something really positive. And then once I was in composition school, I was driving back and forth, often on the highway from my home in Newton to the school, and I would be listening to these very bass-heavy compositions that my
like
teachers...
dubstep?
I'm trying to think what...
No. Okay, not dubstep.
I tried to look back and figure out what some of the compositions were, but things that were sort of from the spectralist school.
Like Grisey?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Grisey, Xenakis, where there's a lot of really powerful low sounds.
Yeah, okay.
And I would be listening to those and driving in my car on the highway with the low rumble of the tires, and I would be thinking, which of these are the sounds, on my recording, and which of these are the sounds from the car? So I got the idea that it actually would be really fun to kind of emulate those car sounds using an orchestra.
Yeah, and I hear that. We're rehearsing. We are a few rehearsals in, and it's sort of this sound portrait, and it almost feels like, in the way that these car sounds might have brought comfort to you on these trips as a kid, it's sort of mysterious when we play it, but then it kind of comes together when everyone's here and then creates this sort of almost ASMR type thing,
Mm-hmm.
There's this sort of like, that's like, oh, that feels good to hear, in a way that's very different from, for example, The Things Between Us, which is like very melodic.
Yes.
And I wouldn't call Activity of Sound like very melodic in that way. It's more about like these waves, kind of like, I was telling people, a little bit like Ligeti atmospheres almost in a certain way, just the sort of shape writing,
Yeah, and the other kind of formative experience I had was actually just recently. So I was able to go to the Darmstadt, Germany music festival this past summer.
Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah, and I took a course in orchestration by Czech composer Miroslav Srnka.
Okay.
He has a wonderful piece, and I apologize, I'll have to tell you the name of it afterward, and maybe we can put it in the notes. But he has a wonderful piece that he shared with us that was about kind of waves in nature, and he composed it more or less algorithmically, but of course when you start that, you always end up listening to it and deciding on how you want it to sound.
Right.
So that was another inspiration for revising this piece. I had already written it for the master's program, but it had a lot less pitched material in it. And while it was really fun to write a piece full of air sounds, it's very hard for the audience to make sense of that.
I noticed that this version is quite different from the original recording, so that makes sense.
It is quite different. Yeah, and I just decided the air sounds had its time, and now it was time to do something a little different from it. So it has pretty much the same structure, but I've replaced most of the air sounds with things that are more definitively pitched and that really use the instruments a little bit more in the way that they're meant to be, that they were designed to be.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember I listened to the recording and I thought, I can't quite match with my current score. There must be something very different about it. So that makes sense. I'm glad I heard that. Now, another kind of composer I think of is perhaps like Tristan Murail, if you ever listened to him.
Absolutely.
And he has this wonderful piece called Recent News of the West Wind that I heard a while ago, actually at BOCO. I think International Contemporary Ensemble came in. And just kind of like the portrait of the wind, I just thought, even though it wasn't very much like, la 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 la, it was very, in a certain way that I just thought, oh, it's really pretty in a certain way. And it's like a beautiful translation of these nature sounds, or these found sounds to these instruments in this hall, kind of captured here in this object.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about your piece too.
Well, thanks. And I guess what I'm exploring is how can I evoke those sounds without being entirely literal, right? So in a way, using the air sounds was a literal attempt to replicate the sounds, and that has its place, but I think in a way it's almost more powerful to try to evoke them with other sounds so that I'm not directly mimicking, I'm more interpreting.
Okay, that's super cool. It's funny because in my piece, which is also on the concert, I make them do air sounds and even use the wind machine to make the wind. But I think the Serenade, which I wrote in 2024, is somewhat more melody based and like even folk song based. So I think those sounds in that case are more literal in a certain way that contrasts, maybe. you know, I put my piece on the program. I don't usually like push my music like that, but I put it because because you mentioned this piece about Harvard Bridge. So, right, Harvard Bridge. That's the other thing I wanted to ask about.
So I have to clarify, and I know this is not consistent with what you've been putting in the.
Oh, that's okay.
It's the bridge that I was actually inspired by is the one right by Boco. So it's next to the Harvard Convention Center. Route 90 goes underneath it, and up top there's essentially you're on Massachusetts Avenue.
Yeah, that's Harvard Bridge.
And you're overlooking.
It's the one with the smoots.
That is Harvard Bridge, but Harvard Bridge is way further down.
Really? Oh, well,
I don't consider that part of it Harvard Bridge.
Oh, well, we're still thinking about the same bridge.
Specifically the bit over the water. But yes, sure,
Oh.
same bridge.
Oh, but you're not thinking about over the water. You're thinking about.
Over the highway.
Oh.
Right. So I'm standing next to the convention center.
Heinz.
On the Heinz Convention Center, next to the Heinz Convention Center subway stop.
Yeah.
Which is right on Mass Ave, and I'm listening to the cars, and actually I videoed it on my phone, and what I did to get the periodicity of the piece was to time how long it took from a car to appear at the top of my phone camera and get down to the bottom of my phone camera.
Oh.
And
that's super cool.
Those became the sort of waves in the piece.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I still consider it a commonality because the Harvard Bridge as seen in my piece is, you know, the one over Charles River just a little north, so that's fine, it's close enough. Huh. Oh, that's super cool. I like that. Now, as we think about, again, thinking about what my audiences hear, whether it's air sounds or whether it's notes, what do you hope that the Horizon audiences this Sunday, both in person and virtual, might get from this piece?
Right. I think you described it really well before. What I hope that they get out of it is a sense that something's happening, but maybe they're not quite sure what, that there are sounds that arise out of nowhere and fade into nowhere, and things are changing before you quite realize it, but suddenly your ear focuses in on a sound that's different from what you were just hearing a few seconds ago. So that's the sort of the sense of comfort that I got from being in the car with my family. Had that feeling of we're all together. Maybe we are playing a game. Maybe we're just listening quietly. Maybe one of my parents is napping in the front seat. So there's variation, but it's all around a common theme, and the theme is about steadiness and togetherness and going at the same pace together.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow, super neat. I think it'll be really fun. We're excited about it. We'll see you in rehearsal this week, of course.
Sounds good.
And I hope you guys watching might be able to watch it either in person or over live stream. Is there anything else you want to say to the Horizon fans out there?
I'm just super grateful that you're doing this piece. I'm very, very excited, and I hope that a lot of people will come out to hear it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Tell your friends, guys. Tell your coworkers and your colleagues and your anyone you know, or even strangers on the street about this show, because it'll be super fun. We're very excited about Horizon Ensemble's Bridges and about doing Ruth's music, and we hope to see you there. Take it easy. See you soon.